What if I told you that the most honest version of you shows up when no one is watching? Not the version you present at work, not the one you are with your partner, not the mom, the colleague, the friend. The real you, the one who exists in the quiet moments, in the private rituals, in the small things you do when the room is empty and no one is judging. That version, she never lies. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things women do when they're completely alone, and what each one quietly says about who they truly are at their core. If you've ever wondered why you do certain things when no one is around, this video is going to feel very personal. Stay with me. And before we dive in, if this kind of content speaks to you, hit subscribe. We break down real psychology in a way that actually makes sense for your everyday life. Okay, let's get into it. Number 1. What she does with her very first free moment. Here's a scenario. The kids are at school, or your partner just left for work, or you finally have a Saturday with nothing scheduled. What do you do first? Do you immediately pick up your phone? Do you clean? Do you call someone? Do you sit in silence and just breathe? That first instinct is before guilt kicks in, before your brain starts making a to-do list. That is pure psychological gold. Here's what psychology says. Women who immediately reach for their phones in free moments are often dealing with something called anxiety avoidance. The phone isn't entertainment. It's escape. It keeps the brain occupied so it doesn't have to sit with uncomfortable feelings. If this is you, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system has learned that stillness feels unsafe. Now, women who clean or immediately become productive in their free time. They're often running on a deep sense of conditional worth. Somewhere along the way, they learned that rest has to be earned, that being idle is being lazy, that their value is tied to what they produce. Sound familiar? But here's the interesting one. Women who can sit in unstructured time, who can read, daydream, stare out the window without guilt. Research suggests these women tend to have a stronger, more secure sense of self. They don't need external stimulation to feel okay. They're comfortable with who they are in the silence. The question isn't what you should do with free time. The question is, what does your instinct reveal about what you actually believe about yourself? Number 2. How she talks to herself when no one can hear. This one might be the most revealing of all 5. Close your eyes for a second. Actually, don't. You're watching a video. But imagine this. You made a mistake today. You forgot something important. You said the wrong thing. You were late. What is the very first thing you say to yourself? Is it, oh well, that happens, I'll do better next time? Or is it, I'm so stupid. Why do I always do this? I can't believe I messed that up again. Most women never stop to notice their inner voice. It's just background noise. But psychology research tells us that self-talk is one of the most accurate mirrors of your core beliefs about yourself, and those beliefs were almost entirely formed before the age of 10. Women who speak to themselves harshly in private, not outwardly, not in a way anyone else sees, but internally in that quiet critical voice, are often carrying what therapists call an inner critic, and that inner critic was usually someone else's voice first. A parent, a teacher, a sibling, someone who made you feel not enough. And here's the part that breaks my heart a little. Many women are kinder to absolute strangers than they are to themselves. You would never say to your best friend what you say to yourself in the mirror at 11 p.m., but the flip side is also true. Women who have done the works, who speak to themselves gently, patiently, the way they'd speak to someone they love, they're not delusional. They're not toxic positivity. They've simply learned to reparent themselves. So pay attention to your inner voice this week, not to judge it, just to notice it, because what she says to you in private, that's the truest measure of how you see yourself. Number 3. What she does with the emotions she never shows anyone. Every woman has a private grief ritual, something she does when she's hurting but the world doesn't know it, and that private ritual tells you almost everything about how safe she feels with her own emotions. Some women cry, fully, completely, and then feel better. This is actually the healthiest response. Tears are literally a biological discharge mechanism. Your body is releasing stress hormones through crying. Women who let themselves cry alone, without shame, without stopping themselves, have a high tolerance for emotional truth. Some women eat, not because they're hungry, but because food was the first comfort they ever received. Eaten as babies, as children, food became safety, food became love, and when love feels absent or pain feels overwhelming, the nervous system goes looking for that original comfort. This isn't weakness. It's a deeply human response to an unmet emotional need. Some women get angry, clean the house furiously, drive too fast, snap at small things. This is displaced emotion. The real feeling, usually sadness or fear, feels too vulnerable to sit with, so it converts into anger, which at least feels like control, and some women do nothing. They go completely numb. They dissociate, they watch TV for 6 hours and feel like they've been sedated. Emotional numbness is the nervous system's emergency brake. It kicks in when the emotional pain is too much to process consciously. None of these responses make you broken, but the pattern, how you habitually respond to pain when no one is watching, that is a direct map of how your body learned to survive hard feelings. The real question is, does your coping mechanism actually release the pain, or does it just delay it? Number 4, and this one is going to make some of you deeply uncomfortable, how she spends money when no one is watching. Before you click away, I promise this isn't about judgment. Your relationship with money in private is one of the most psychologically revealing things about you. A woman who spends impulsively, especially late at night, especially after a hard day, is almost always not buying things. She's buying feelings, relief, control, excitement, a temporary hit of dopamine in a life that might feel too routine, too exhausting, or too empty. Financial psychologists call this retail therapy, but underneath it is often a genuine emotional need that isn't being met. The purchase is a stand-in for something else. Sometimes it's autonomy, sometimes it's self-worth, sometimes it's just proof that she deserves nice things in a life where she's been taught to put herself last. On the other end, a woman who feels intense guilt or anxiety every time she spends money on herself, who will buy for everyone else but freezes when it's for her, is often carrying deep beliefs about her own unworthiness of pleasure. She may have grown up in financial scarcity, or she may have internalized the message that she is not allowed to take up space, spend resources, or prioritize herself. And then there's the woman who hides purchases, who hides bags in the car, removes price tags, deletes receipts. This isn't just about money, it's about freedom. It often happens in relationships where a woman doesn't feel safe being fully herself, or she's learned to hide parts of her life to avoid judgment or conflict. Money is one of the last frontiers of real emotional honesty. How you spend it when no one is looking tells the story of what you believe you deserve. Number 5, the last 10 minutes before she falls asleep. This might be the most intimate, revealing moment of a woman's entire day, because the mind, right at the edge of sleep, drops its guard completely. The performance is over. The roles you've played all day fall away, and what your mind gravitates toward in those final 10 minutes, that's what it's actually processing. Does she scroll social media? Comparing her life to curated images of other people's lives right before sleep is one of the most documented causes of low-grade self-esteem damage in women. You're not relaxing. You're evaluating yourself against a highlight reel, and you lose every single time because no one posts their worst days. Does she replay conversations, think about what she should have said, run through tomorrow's to-do list? This is an anxious mind that doesn't know how to stop. It's still trying to solve problems, still managing, still planning, even as the body is begging for rest. This is the signature of a woman who carries too much, who has been responsible for too much for too long. Does she reach for her partner, physically, emotionally, or does she turn away? The direction a woman faces in those last drowsy moments is a quiet vote on the state of her relationship and her emotional needs. And then there's the woman who journals, prays, or simply reflects, who reviews the day with compassion, who gives "so there they are" 5 things women do alone, and what each one quietly reveals about who they really are. Here's what I want you to take away from this. None of these things make you broken. Not the late night scrolling, not the harsh inner voice, not the crying in the car, not the hidden purchases, not the racing thoughts at midnight. These are patterns, and patterns, unlike personality, can change. Like, the first step is always the same: awareness. You can't change what you don't see, and now you see it. So I want to ask you something. In the comments below, which one of these 5 hit closest to home. You don't have to explain. You can just write the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because I have a feeling most of us aren't as alone in our private habits as we think we are. If this video made you think, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more psychology content that actually speaks to real life, subscribe. We post every week. I'll see you in the next one.